Following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah, go Cowboys! This is Mick Shots, streaming live on DallasCowboys.com and the official Dallas Cowboys app. Now, here are Bill Jones, Savannah Humoller, Everson Walls, and Mickey Spagnola.
And it is time for another edition of Mick Shots as football players are on a football field here at the Star in Frisco. And it's the official start of Chargers Week. We put the Niners behind us as with a Monday night game this week, the official start of practice preparations for the Chargers has begun. Bill Jones, Everson Walls. You know what? What's going on with Mickey's headset?
So he's had a problem ever since he came in here.
Savannah Humoller and Mickey Spagnola trying to figure out what's going on with his headset.
He's already mad. He said his feet are dangling from the chair. So
I'm good.
Yeah,
I think.
You are really good because you got to look at football players on a football field.
Unfortunately, they haven't done anything yet.
Okay.
So
you got to remember to go out there.
That's right.
During a break.
I need to go check on. Something's.
Is everyone all good?
I accidentally hit the mute button when I was
good.
turning
Maybe
up the
my
volume
mute
on my
button.
headset.
You good? You good?
I'm good.
I'm good.
Savannah, why don't you take over
I
from
don't know
here?
what's going on that side.
Deal. Did we all plan this out today? Our outfits?
Now I'm the only
we
one.
didn't call Everson.
I'm the only one that's.
So I'm dressed up today because I did the coaches show this morning. So he was in a good mood.
He was.
No,
Great.
Well, I hear that Nate in Frisco gave him a hug.
Yes, he did.
He figured he needed her.
We got done with taping the show, and
Somebody
Nate
asked
came
him
in
how-
and didn't say anything. He just gave him a big old hug.
Somebody asked him in the press conference, he was talking about making sure everybody else is good after a loss like that. And somebody asked him, well, what about you? He goes, well, Nate gave me a big old hug.
Nate was like the big mother, po thing.
It's
Po
like,
thing.
okay, it's all going to be all right.
Baby.
Just
Come
You know
here,
what
baby.
McCarthy
going.
then said? He said, my wife hadn't even given me a hug. I needed that.
Oh, Nate, just
Nate
what you
Frisco.
need. Just what you need.
That's right. Yeah.
No, I was trying to see if Cavante Turpin was out there. He was supposed to start off rehabbing. And Everson and I, when we left yesterday, or were you with me? No, I was seeing it. He was on the cords rehabbing, doing the steps
You spoke of it.
Yeah,
you
I
did speak of
yeah.
it. Yeah.
And so that was a good sign. So he said he was going to at least start there. And I was told he was day-to-day, so we'll see what happens. And it sounds like they're going to start Rashawn Wright's clock coming off of injured reserve. Mike said he was going to start practicing
Can you
today.
explain to us what that means?
Well, he's on injured reserve. He's served his mandatory 4 games, meaning missing those. And then you can get a guy start practicing before you have to make a decision on if you're going to leave him there or if you're going to activate him. If you activate him, you have to put him on the 53-man roster. And now that they're kind of banged up at the cornerback position, it seems like that, they might make a move there at some point, probably not this week.
And so how does the bye week factor into those weeks?
By the way, the bye week does not count as a week on IR. So like for Leighton Vander Esch, he's got to miss 4 games.
Right, we
Man,
talked
that's-
about that.
Yeah.
we
Yeah,
talked
but
about
that's
that.
still crazy.
So does that also affect Rashawn Wright, where the window?
He has missed 4 games. And I
Right,
think
but on his return, because he designated him for return.
right. I think you have like
Which allows him to practice.
3 weeks, something like that.
I didn't know if the bye week gave it another week.
Yeah.
Because that doesn't count as a week.
I guess
Otherwise,
it
yeah.
wouldn't count as a week.
Right.
Yeah.
So
right.
it's more like a 4-week window
Right.
for him.
So you'd like to see Turpin healthy enough to get back out there and play,
You definitely would.
especially not only from a wide receiver standpoint, but a punt return standpoint also, since nobody returns kickoffs anymore.
Along those lines, when you're talking about special teamers, C.J. Goodwin, I don't know that we talked enough about
No, we did not.
And what he meant to this team, and even when go call up the John Fossil press conference from Monday,
or
and he
Mick
goes
shots.
on and on talking about C.J. Goodwin, and he can't say enough good things about C.J. Goodwin. But when you go back and look at that game the other day, if you pull up the All-22, and he got hurt covering the first punt, and he stayed in the game and tried, and
Yeah.
it was a pectoral injury, whatever.
So he hurt on the tackle?
On the tackle.
On the tackle.
Yeah.
Wow.
He got hurt on the tackle, and then he still gave it a go, even though he's got basically a torn pec. And you watch him early second quarter on a punt coverage, and his left arm is just hanging. He's going down covering, and he got in on the tackle. Trent Sigg, the long snapper, probably was credited with the tackle, but Goodwin was right in there on the tackle. That shows what kind of heart that guy plays with.
Fossil said that he talked his way back in. They were like, dude, you got a torn pec. And he goes, yeah, but I think I can do this. And so he went in, and they saw him running down. Right.
Just, yeah, but
With his
never
arm
mind.
down.
Yeah.
It's
A
like,
torn pec, yeah, but I got work to
time
do.
to come off.
You got to come off. That's enough. And and he doesn't want to give up. Like, he's going to go on IR, but you can put a guy on IR for the rest of the season, and they're saying, well, let's see what happens, because sometimes they can put a harness on you and kind of bandage you up to kind of keep it in place.
That shows how much he loves football.
Normally when you tear a pec, that's it. You're surgery, and you're going to need surgery eventually. But I thought watching Fossil Monday in the press conference when he was talking about him, and I think he repeated it like 3 times. He said, "Yeah, that really hurts. Really hurts. I thought he was going to start tearing up. Losing a guy like that not only means so much to him on the field, but off the field as a guy that kind of takes care of the special teams unit. He's a mentor to those young guys.
In the special teams unit, of course, that covers all aspects of the team, because every position group on the team is involved in some way on special teams.
Yeah. Is he the captain of the special teams?
They switch every week.
But they haven't. If they were to designate a full season captain, it would be him.
Yeah. He's the guy, and that's why they had him on the practice squad for movement of the roster, but then basically he was the first one they signed to the 53. Mm-hmm. That's and not only that loss, but again losing him, and then losing Van Der Esch, meaning Marquise Bell and Wanye Thomas probably going to have to play more snaps, and those guys were big guys on special teams. So one of the things
they're young,
right?
They'll be just fine.
And he was Mike was pointing out that Malik Jefferson only has one more elevation, and that's a linebacker. So that probably brings us to the Rashad Evans signing, but to the practice squad. So I did a little research on him.
Okay.
And he was not with anybody, and I think what might have happened was, where's my notes? When he played that season, last season in Atlanta, he had only signed a 1-year, $1.75 million deal. He ended up leading the team in tackles with like 159. Now, I know from history, the Falcons used to kind of inflate their tackle totals a lot, but it said in 7 he played a lot. I forgot who their middle linebacker used to be that had all the tackles, but he started all 17 games.
That's the 159 tackles is what the NFL has calculated.
Is that
it's
what
from
they
the
did
game?
too?
Yeah, it's from the game.
Because I know
summaries.
the Falcons used to.
Because teams will do it,
those.
and that's where you'll see a lot of times where the Cowboys will have a different tackle total on players than what the league-wide NFL.com has, which is from the game summaries game statistics each week, and he had 159 based on that, playing 17 games last year.
So I'm guessing, playing for just $1.75 million last year, he was looking for more money, and no one was giving him the amount of money that he was looking for. And by the way, he's represented by Rosenhaus, so we can start right there about the money. So he said that's why he was looking for the right situation, that evidently Tennessee, according to him, Tennessee and Atlanta wanted to re-sign him. So to me, that means, but they weren't giving him the money he thought he deserved. So when he got the opportunity to sign with the Eagles, he jumped on it. And it was like they lost their starting outside linebacker, Nakobe Dean. They had to end up placing him on injured reserve. But the weird thing is that he signed on a Monday. He gets there Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I think it was, or Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and they really didn't have a practice.
They had mock practices.
They had, like, walkthroughs, right? And then he asked to be released. So for his 1 week of work there that he didn't do any work, he made $15,000, which was, what his practice squad weekly salary was. And then he said, basically, this is what I was looking for when the Eagles gave him the chance. But then he asked for his release. So
one thing that happened there, Nicholas Morrow, who started 17 games for Chicago last year, he was in camp with Philadelphia. He was placed on the practice squad. They cut him at the end of camp. He was placed on the practice squad, and he was one of those veteran guys that they did not want to guarantee his contract.
Right.
So he got re-signed the same day that Rashaan Evans was signed to the practice squad. Nicholas Morrow was signed to the 53-man roster.
See, and he probably was ready to play.
And so Rashaan Evans is probably sitting. Yeah, that's right. He had been in camp with them, so he was ready to play. And Rashaan Evans probably, I'm just speculating here, he probably did not want. He thought when he signed on the practice squad that since they lost Nakobe Dean, that he would be next man up. Well, it turns out Nicholas Morrow was next man up, and that's probably why he asked for his release.
It makes more sense.
And then he's waiting for an opportunity with another team because in this league, linebackers get hurt, and so he had to wait until this linebacker got hurt. And so that's probably what happened on him.
So he's been signed to the practice squad officially.
Officially.
Right.
12 pass breakups, 5 sacks.
Had a good season.
2 interceptions.
So that's what I'm saying. He just wasn't getting paid what he wanted to get paid.
That's his career numbers.
Of course,
right?
Yeah, I'm reading career numbers.
Yeah.
21 tackles for loss, 16 quarterback hits, 5 fumble recoveries.
I mean, he was first-round draft pick, 22 overall out of Alabama.
Yeah.
See, and he thought
he
thought the Eagle place was good because guess who he played with when he was at Alabama?
The defensive tackle.
Jalen Hurts and Devonta Smith, who were with the Eagles.
Okay.
So he felt like this was a spot where I knew some people. I think the special teams coach, it's a big, long Italian name. I don't remember it. He was...
Not Spagnuolo.
No, it wasn't easy like
You're
that.
Italian, aren't you?
I didn't write it down. I could have pronounced it. He was at Alabama when he was at Alabama, so he knew people on the Eagles team and staff, and one of the reasons why he thought, okay, this is the way to be there, but he only lasted 4 days. So.
Well, and he's run into Leighton Vander Esch ran into it, especially with the injuries that he had. The market is not there for inside linebackers on the in free agency, and he found out after 159 tackle season that they're not offering him basically much more than a little over the veteran minimum, even as a 27-year-old with 5 years in the league.
Yeah.
And so that's just we talk about the running back market. Not being a lot of money there, well, because of injuries, the inside line. That's what's so remarkable about Fred Warner and him being able to do what he's doing.
After all
he never
years.
gets hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's missed one game in 6 or 7 years in the league.
And speaking of that market, when I was researching this stuff, I ran into this little note that the Eagles had not drafted a linebacker in the first round since 2010. It was Ernie Sims. So didn't he end up here?
Yes, he was here for a little bit.
1 year, right?
Yep.
Yeah. But that's the last time they used a draft pick that high on a linebacker. So anyway, we'll see when he's ready to go. I don't know if he gets here in time. And, well, if he was here to work out, because they worked out for linebackers and they signed him to practice squad, I would imagine, I don't know how much ramp up he needs since he wasn't in training camp with anybody and didn't practice with the Eagles, which means he hadn't done anything with a team since the beginning of January, the last game of the season in Atlanta.
You look at linebackers like this, and it's almost like they're always ready to go.
But you don't want them to get hurt.
I know, but they always think they're ready to go.
Right.
Yeah.
It said he was
do you think
working.
He can play Monday night?
I think he thinks that. I think
I'm
that's
sure.
what he thinks he can play.
It said he'd been working out in Fort Lauderdale, but we all know how guys work out on their own, right? Like us. I got up a little late today. I don't think I'm going to do this.
As a player, it was all about working out. I mean, if you're looking at us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We think again about
us.
Yeah, us three.
Yeah.
I work out. Come on.
Yeah, no,
that's why we're not
You're
included.
different
That's
from
what
us.
I'm saying.
You're
You're not like us. Yeah. You have that initiative. We really don't anymore. So.
I mean, it goes back to Odell Beckham Jr. when he was trying to get on with a team, and he's saying he'd been working out, and he goes and works out, and everybody's like, well, your knee's not ready yet to play.
Nor his ankle.
Or his ankle, whatever it was. Well, we'll see. We'll see where it goes. Hopefully he's in the locker room at 1:30.
Hopefully so. All right, we continue with more mix shots in just a moment.
I'm Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys.
And they snap it to Prescott, who looks right. It's not there. He escapes left. He'll run for a first down.
Just like football, when it comes to crypto, it's important to have a team you can trust. With blockchain.com, I know I'm in good hands. Since 2011, they've been trusted by millions around the world to buy, sell, and trade cryptocurrency.
Prescott's going to run this himself. Run it up the middle, and he scores.
Whether you're new to crypto or an active trader, they've got you covered. What are you waiting for? Get started at blockchain.com.
You know that sound anywhere. It's the crisp crunch of that first nacho chip. With its perfect cheese to sour cream ratio sitting atop a layer of delicious beans, it's a sip away from perfection. That's what we're looking for. Add a delicious, refreshing Pepsi and we've achieved absolute nacho nirvana. Because while you can pile those nachos high with every spicy, cheesy, savory topping, there's no topping a cool Pepsi finish. Nachos, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
The Medal of Honor is our country's highest military award for valor in combat. More than 40 million individuals have served in the armed forces since the Civil War. Fewer than 4,000 have received the Medal of Honor. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a place to preserve these legacies and inspire America. It's being built right next door to the Dallas Cowboys in Texas. Help us honor our country's greatest heroes. Learn more and get involved at mohmuseum.org.
Cowboys football and Miller Lite. What a pairing. Can cracks at kickoff. Tailgates going way past postgame. Sunday night overtimes followed by Monday morning swagger. Brisket in the smoker. Miller Lite in the cooler. America's team playing America's greatest sport. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys football tastes like Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. 2023 Miller Brewing Company, Fort Worth, Texas.
Back to mixed shots.
K-Post Roofing and Waterproofing, the official roofer of the Dallas Cowboys. Well, I feel like we can take some texts today.
Very good.
As we prepare for Chargers week. What's the number, Bill?
817-290-3298, the Cowboys Podcast text line. All right, we've got sad news to pass along. We had heard that yesterday that we had gotten some word that Walt Garrison was close to passing away, and news comes down today that the great Walt Garrison, Mr. Cowboy, in my opinion, because you consider what Walt Garrison is all about.
He was a cowboy.
Yes, he was a cowboy, and
Three-time
one of the great guys.
Three-time Cowboy, by the way.
That's right.
Oklahoma State, too.
Yeah, well, and he's a cowboy. He's a cowboy
That's
by
right.
nature.
That's right.
He was a Louisville fighting farmer, an Oklahoma State Cowboy and a Dallas Cowboy. And Walt Garrison passed away at the age
79.
of 79. And what a great guy. Will be sorely missed.
I got to know him pretty well. As a matter of fact, I think Chris and I, when we were working on his Legend show, probably spent, I don't know, Chris, what do you think? 2 or 3 hours at his house?
His log
it was
cabin.
amazing.
In Argyle. Yeah. It's one of those log cabins that they make, I don't know, Wyoming, Utah, somewhere.
But it's out in the country.
Imported.
And they take it apart and then bring it here and then rebuild
It was nice. Love that place.
It was like
you know how he paid for it?
With
I know.
skull money.
Skull
money.
Yeah,
Skull
absolutely.
He was still.
He always said he made more money being a spokesman for Skull than he did playing football for the Cowboys. And the house was like a museum, part football, part his actual rodeo career. He had a couple bit parts in John Wayne movies, riding a horse. He told Chris and I about the story that John Wayne was filming a movie out close to Thousand Oaks, and John Wayne and some of the people came riding into Thousand Oaks to watch practice on their horses. And for being in the movie, he got a rifle. It was a special rifle given to him by John Wayne, and he had it up on the wall in a glass case. It was pretty cool. But it's between the house and off to the side of the house, he had his whittling room. He learned to whittle when he was with the Cowboys, and he still had all this wood in there. And he would make all this stuff, and he had it on the shelves. And it's like, Walt, what do you do with this stuff? He goes, well, I don't know. He goes, these people have these charity auctions, and they want this stuff. And he goes, I just give it to them.
He would make little figurines.
So I've got one at the house, and it's...
He was that good?
Oh,
it was
yeah.
good. It was really good.
From scratch, right? And it was like these 3 little stools like you would use to milk a cow, and he titled it Stool Samples.
I think I have that same thing.
And he would just give them away. It's like every time I'd go over there, he had to get, because he only lived like 5 minutes from my house, maybe 2 miles. Right?
And I don't know that we've done justice to what that log cabin really looked like.
No,
it was
huge.
Nice, huge. I mean, that ceiling was way up. It wasn't a little log cabin that he was living in Argyle.
It was like one of those, you know how the atrium hotels are with the middle?
Of course.
So he had the upstairs was just kind of a walkway that you can see over the railing down into where the living room was. And he had this huge chandelier that was way up at the top, right? And it's like, Walt, so what happens when a light burns out? How do you get it? And he goes, I got a remote. It comes down.
Yeah. I was going to say, yeah.
He pushes a button and it comes down, right? But, yeah, and not to minimize, as Bill said, he was a Louisville high school farmer. That was their nickname. And he was born at a hospital in Denton, but he lived in Louisville. And the house he grew up in is still there, by the way. And it's like almost kind of a block off the downtown area of Louisville. But that's where he grew up. Mm-hmm. And he told Chris and I the story of his part-time job was working at this peanut factory that's still there in Louisville. It's by the railroad tracks, and when you drive by, you can smell the peanuts that they're either cooking or, I think, making into peanut butter or whatever. So he said, yeah, and I had the job on the weekends. He goes, and I would play football Friday night. He goes, everybody else would go out partying, having a good time. And he goes, and I went to the peanut factory because the train had just come in, and I had to unload the sack of peanuts into the I don't know. I guess it's a factory, and that was his job.
It's still there.
Was growing up.
It's still there.
And the peanut factory's still there.
Wow.
Yeah, I go by it several times a week.
His front door was amazing. His front door had all his his friends' cattle prods or whatever all over the door.
Right. And he had saddles all over the place on these wooden horses. It was a museum. But not to diminish his football career. And this part I didn't realize when he was at Oklahoma State in 1964. He was a second-team All Big 8 running back, and he had 730 yards rushing, which was more than Gale Sayers had that year at Kansas, right? And then in '65, he was first-team All Big 8, 924 yards rushing, 107 receiving, 5 touchdowns. And he finished second in rushing to Missouri's Charlie Brown. So he actually, we look at him as a fullback.
Why are you laughing?
But he was a running back.
I didn't know Charlie Brown was a running back.
Well, see, you learned something more, right?
Missouri running back.
And as a matter of fact, I think I read he was on the Oklahoma State team that ended Oklahoma's, I don't know, they had beat Oklahoma State 20 consecutive times, and they actually beat Oklahoma, by the way.
Last time they beat them.
Probably so, right? But anyway,
And by the way, as we get to the Cowboys, he's also on the Cowboys Silver Anniversary team.
He is.
Oh, by the way.
And took over for Don Perkins. Because Perkins really was a fullback.
Yes.
So it ended up being Walt Garrison and Calvin Hill as the running backs when he first broke in. And he told us everything about Don Perkins and how Perkins helped him make it in the NFL because he was only a 5th-round pick. Mm-hmm. And the legendary story about him is part of his signing bonus was a single horse inline trailer, so he can go to the rodeos.
A horse
with his
trailer.
horse as a horse trailer. He still had it on his property.
Mm-hmm.
What are they going to do with all of that?
I think they were trying to sell it.
Really?
The property.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, so the house itself,
Yeah, I don't know how much that would, because it's got a lot of land.
It's got to be a museum now.
Oh, yeah. It should.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Absolutely right. And he told the story about not only did he get the trailer, but he had to get a hitch for his truck, right? And it was like $200 and some to put a hitch on there. He said one day he came to work his rookie year, and Tex was like, "Where's that hitch?" And he goes, "It's on my truck outside." He goes, "I got to see what a $250 hitch looks like." And he said, Tex walks out in the parking lot. He's got his tie on, long sleeve shirt, gets on his knees to look under the truck to see what the hitch looked like.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is it when we talk about Tex that's the only voice we can think of?
That's the only, because that's it. That's the only voice I can do, right?
He had to be nice at some point, right? I mean, I'm sure when he spoke to his family, he was like, "Where's breakfast?" You know what I mean?
He was a lot of fun. And
Pass some butter.
Right.
And since we're going on this, he was
Great impressions, guys.
he was playing for the Cowboys, and he was doing rodeo on Saturday nights.
That's true.
Before the games.
That story I did know.
And finally, somebody wrote a story about it, how neat the Cowboys would let him do that. And then Tom found out.
They didn't know.
No.
Calls him in. He goes, "Yeah, I don't think we want to be doing that rodeo stuff the night before the game, right?"
And what ended his pro football career?
Rodeo
An
injury.
exhibition steer wrestling accident.
Yeah. So he had, and then
So he didn't listen to Tom.
No, he didn't.
Oh, no. Yeah. And he probably made more money doing rodeo too, because he'd go all over the country. The last time I think we had him on the Legend show. He was starting to. He ended up in a memory care facility in Fort Worth, and he was going to do the show. I talked to his son, and his son said, as long as you don't ask him about anything about the Cowboys today, his memory is great.
Going back, yeah.
So he was wondering how he was going to get there. He'd never been here to the Star. And I said, don't worry about it. I'll pick you up. And he's like, I got another call that day. He goes, so how am I getting? It's like, well, I'm picking you up. No worries. Okay. So we drive out here, and he started recognizing places, roads. And he told me the whole story, how he met his wife, that his wife's dad owned all this land, and he just happened to be a guy raising horses, of all things, right? So they ended up getting married. He told me the whole thing. Well, we bring him here, and he was great on the show, right? Just absolutely great. And we get done, and we grab something to eat, and he goes, just get a drink. Well, next thing I know, all the ladies are around him at the bar, right? And I'm going, Walt, you still got it, right? Yeah. And so we go back to the house, and it's a gated entrance in Argyle. And from the entrance to the house is at least a quarter mile, at least. And the railroad tracks run through his land, right? So we get there, and he goes, oh, I forgot my remote. And I'm going, well, do you have a combination to get in? He goes, yeah, I got it. Well, he didn't have it.
Aww.
And so I said, well, what if I climb over the fence, and will the motion open the gate? Because when you pull your car up, he goes, nah, you're not big enough. And I go, well, what are we going to do? He goes, well, I'm just going to climb over and I'll walk. And I said, no, you're not. And, it's dark, it's late, and I felt.
And you're old.
Yeah. Well, guess what? He climbed the fence, got over, and I'm coming with you. He goes, no, you don't, no. And he started cussing, whatever. and I go, I felt like I was with my child. I said, okay, when you get home, call me. And by God, I got home. I was only 5 minutes away, and I called. I said, are you there? He goes, well, yeah, I told you. And he walked the whole way, yeah.
So the train runs through his land.
Yeah.
So he's there with all of this leathery cowboy stuff, and the train runs right through his land.
And it's a long ways.
It sounds just so typical, right?
It's a long way from the house.
But still, you can hear it.
And all there is a sign. Because there's no crossing gate or, lights that go off. The train just comes ripping through, right?
Yeah, it's a timepiece, man.
And he had a little small rodeo arena on his land.
That's cool.
That's all just throwback, man. It's a fantasy place.
Yeah. I could go on and on about him. He's absolute best.
Nate in Frisco says that he's also a neighbor of down the street, and that he always came to do the Hooters show. Love the guy, Nate in Frisco.
Yeah, when Nate was helping me with the Legend show.
Yeah.
And we were at Hooters and the Buffalo Wild Wings. I swear once a year we had him because he was so good. It's
by
a
the
shame.
way, at the end of the show,
he and Nate had conversation.
Oh yeah.
If they were neighbors, I'm sure.
I bet that was crazy.
Oh yeah.
All right. There's a
legendary
poem. He was a rapper before rapping became. He was a country rapper. And there's a legendary poem that we're going to play at the end of Mix Shots tonight that he recited. And he recited by memory. I mean, you ask him to recite the poem, "People Are Funny Critters," and Walt would spit it out. It's amazing. And we had him on one of the Legend shows. And we pulled that archive of that. We're going to play it at the end of the show. But Mickey, do you want to tell the line that Dandy Don Meredith had about Walt? Okay. Let's see if he gets it right here.
Well, he had all these stories with Meredith.
We were telling Savannah this story yesterday, and so we'll see.
And I got to
Mickey
hear
got
it,
right.
so it was great.
You can hear it again here.
Can I tell the other story first? So, rookie year, when they went on the road, Meredith would take the guys out to dinner, right, on him. And they were in Pittsburgh, I think it was, and they took Walt out, and then he goes, I just going to do what everybody else was doing. I didn't really drink much. And he goes, but they were putting down drinks, so I kept up with him, and I was drinking. And he goes, I never drank. And he goes, I woke up that day, and he goes, I had the worst hangover. And I figured, well, no big deal, because I don't play. I just do a couple special teams plays, and they never give me the ball. Well, the Cowboys got in the lead, and they took Perkins out and set him in the fourth quarter, right? And they kept calling his number, and he had to go out there, and he goes, I'm dying. He goes, I am absolutely dying. And finally I got into the huddle, and I looked at Meredith, and Meredith goes, you dumb da-da-da rookie. He goes, if you quit getting first downs, we'd get off the field. So anyway, Meredith, when he talked about Garrison, he would always go, he goes, if you needed 1 yard, Walt would get you 1 yard. If you needed 3 yards, Walt would get you 1 yard. So the guy's a book. He is.
And there is a book about him. Once a Cowboy. I've got it on my bookshelf at home.
Do you?
Yep.
Very good.
Yep. All right. We will continue with more mixed shots in just a moment, and we will have people are funny critters when we come back.
The Medal of Honor is our country's highest military award for valor in combat. More than 40 million individuals have served in the armed forces since the Civil War. Fewer than 4,000 have received the Medal of Honor. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a place to preserve these legacies and inspire America. It's being built right next door to the Dallas Cowboys in Texas. Help us honor our country's greatest heroes. Learn more and get involved at mohmuseum.org.
Cowboys football and Miller Lite. What a pairing. Can cracks at kickoff. Tailgates going way past postgame. Sunday night overtimes followed by Monday morning swagger. Brisket in the smoker. Miller Lite in the cooler. America's team playing America's greatest sport. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys football tastes like Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. 2023 Miller Brewing Company, Fort Worth, Texas.
I'm Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys.
And they snap it to Prescott, who looks right. It's not there. He escapes left. He'll run for a first down.
Just like football, when it comes to crypto, it's important to have a team you can trust. With blockchain.com, I know I'm in good hands. Since 2011, they've been trusted by millions around the world to buy, sell, and trade cryptocurrency.
Prescott's going to run this himself. Run it up the middle, and he scores.
Whether you're new to crypto or an active trader, they've got you covered. What are you waiting for? Get started at blockchain.com.
You know that sound anywhere. It's the crisp crunch of that first nacho chip. With its perfect cheese to sour cream ratio sitting atop a layer of delicious beans, it's a sip away from perfection. That's what we're looking for. Add a delicious, refreshing Pepsi and we've achieved absolute nacho nirvana. Because while you can pile those nachos high with every spicy, cheesy, savory topping, there's no topping a cool Pepsi finish. Nachos, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
Back to mixed shots.
Head to the Pro Shop at Northeast Mall in Arlington, Texas on Saturday, October 15th between 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. for Cowboys collections on tour. See rare team archives, customize headwear, grab a gift with purchase, and enter for a chance to win a giveaway. Stay tuned for more tour stops coming throughout the season.
All right, our final segment here of Mixed Shots for this Thursday. Cowboys and the Chargers on Monday night. And anything?
One more thing on Rashad Evans.
Yes.
I was told the Eagles didn't like what they saw.
Oh.
So that's
you just
why,
got this? You just got texted this message?
Yeah. And so that's probably
they're
why.
saying that after he signed with the Cowboys practice squad, they didn't like what.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure this out myself. This guy seemed like he was pretty good.
I'm giving you inside information,
and
you're trying to diminish it.
No. We trust you.
That's probably why
we don't trust him.
That's why.
Did the Eagles?
That's why he didn't get an opportunity to get off the practice squad, and probably why he said, "Okay, I'm out of here." When they signed the other guy off the practice squad,
Nicholas Morrow.
Right. So.
We'll see if he's in the locker room today. We'll see if.
Well, how can they know?
We got to get to know the guy.
Yeah, how could they not know what they saw? He didn't even practice. So that's my.
Yeah. Maybe he wasn't ready to practice.
Maybe they just trying to. Maybe they just don't want us to have him.
You got this information from someone.
Consider the source.
Someone in.
It's not you, Space.
Okay, you got this information from someone in Philadelphia after the Cowboys signed
the source,
the
man. You can't just believe that stuff. They're trying to salt our game. We can't just take that.
You guys are about ready to.
It's not you, man.
No, I know, but I have sources that I trust.
Oh, okay.
I don't just throw stuff out. But if you guys want to dig and find better, go ahead.
I'm rooting big
I'll be
time
here
for
tomorrow.
Rashad Evans.
I'm here with you, Mickey.
Me too, man.
I trust
Me too.
We're together.
Yeah,
we're
trust
rooting big time for Rashad Evans.
You good.
We're going to prove this Philadelphia source
You're good.
wrong.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, I love it.
I hope he's wrong.
Back on.
So do they.
Yeah.
By the way, they're playing Philadelphia. You need to get this publicized out there. We just did, didn't we? That Philly was thought of him because the Cowboys are playing the Eagles coming up here on November 5th. Second game after the bye week.
Hopefully he doesn't ask for his release before that.
Yeah. By the way, if these Rangers make it to the World Series, the Phillies have the advantage over the Braves, they're up on the Braves.
Did you see that game last night?
Yeah, jeez. And we could have the week of the Philadelphia game. We could have the Rangers playing the Phillies in the World Series that week. And Game 6 and 7 of the World Series would be Friday and Saturday, November 3rd and 4th, and the Cowboys play at Philadelphia on the 5th.
Just another reason for us to hate them.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. That's going to be Hate Philly week.
Dusty Baker already said they're going to the World Series. So.
That's right. I heard him after the game. He wanted to do his.
He said, "I'll have the opening to the champagne celebration. I'm saving it for the World Series."
So he was calling out names last night. Yeah, me and Bochy going at it.
Yeah, and so he had Verlander do it last night, and 5 F-bombs later on national television.
On live TV.
Well, what do you expect these days, guys? What do you expect these days?
The announcer comes back and goes, "But it's only on cable."
That's right.
I will note tonight is the Dallas Stars home opener.
Oh, that's
yes,
right.
It is.
They play the
Right.
St. Louis Blues tonight, 7 o'clock at home.
What you got?
Right.
Are you doing something?
Yes, I'll be there.
For the game?
Yes, I will be there. I'll be up in the press box, watching the game, tracking the show.
Forgive my ignorance. Is St. Louis any good?
They beat us last week in the preseason game at home. They do look good. However, I just think it was an off night, and we're obviously playing our starters tonight.
Yeah. One other note on Walt Garrison. He's one of those guys, and there's a number of guys in Cowboys history who, and I've always made the case that, of course, the Cowboys have the Ring of Honor, but there needs to be, and the Cowboys are doing this with AT&T Stadium, where it's almost like becoming a Hall of Fame museum with vignettes and so forth that they have there and here at the Star in Frisco. But I've always thought there should be a Walk of Fame. And for guys who, like Walt Garrison, who, by the way, was the 3rd leading rusher in Cowboys history when he retired, and I think 4th leading receiver when he retired, but those guys that made a huge contribution on the field, but also are iconic legends just from their character and so forth off the field. There's so many like that.
And
they're
people,
fan favorite types.
People in the organization that have done stuff for this team behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about that. You brought it up about Marilyn Love, that had been with Jerry since he bought the team, passed away.
But it would be cool where you could have a ceremony. It could even, it doesn't have to be anything even on a game day, but even in the off season, where you have a Walk of Fame ceremony and you get your star on the Walk of Fame or whatever.
Yep.
So.
Great idea.
Could be a brick on the sidewalk around the stadium.
Okay, so we are going to close out this edition of Mick Shots with the rapper Walt Garrison and his poem, "People Are Funny Critters." Rest in peace, Walt.
And a friend of mine wrote a little poem called People Are Funny Critters. Now, this is audience participation saying. So when I say people are funny critters, you say, what do you mean? You
what
got
do
it?
you mean?
People are funny critters.
What do you mean?
Well, there's apple pie bakers and crooked bookmakers and blondes and brunetters and birthday forgetters and chicken fry lovers and blue-eyed soul brothers and drinkers and boozers and winners and losers and elephant trainers and tireless campaigners and fixers and menders and paperclip benders and goers and stayers and pinochle players and handkerchief users and tissue abusers and interstate bikers and wilderness hikers and joggers and addicts and handball fanatics and kissers and tellers and friends of the fellers and lovers and fighters and fingernail biters and mayonnaise dippers and miracle whippers and newspaper readers and drivers and speeders and overweight hookers and magazine lookers and people with answers and bottomless dancers and quivering flunkers and basketball dunkers and readers and thinkers and double scotch drinkers and soda straw manglers and bar napkin stranglers and teasers and criers and high rolling flyers and uncles and sisters and passive resistors and virtuous girlies and sillies and squirrelies and weirdos and sickies and $5 quickies and xylophone pickers and popsicle lickers and yawners and nappers and one-handicappers and zippy old-timers and lunatic rammers. People are funny critters.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!